USG Ishimura. This is the emergency maintenance team of the USG Kellyan responding to your distress call.
The Dead Space remake is one of the best remakes that I've played in quite some time. Before I got used to the game's ambiance, I was freaking out for the first few hours, never trusting a single vent, which of course should be the intended effect for an action horror game, to give the players a sense of schizophrenia. If you've never played Dead Space before, this is the definitive way to play it now. I've played all of the previous Dead Spaces. The amazing duality of 1 and 2 together, they are just perfection. I've also played Dead Space 3, which is, well, let's just say they never made a Dead Space 4 because of it. 1 and 2 were definitely the peak of the franchise. I won't lie, when I heard about the Callisto Protocol, which is made by the original Dead Space creators, and then I heard about the Dead Space remake, I was way more excited for the Callisto Protocol, until all those game reviews came out. Damn, what a disappointment. I was really excited for that game, but they tore it apart. I mean, they tore it apart just like Trump standing in line at a McDonald's, just waiting for his goddamn Big Mac. It was horrendous. I don't know how that metaphor applies here, but I really just wanted to put that image in your brains. I never would have thought that the Dead Space remake would have beat the original Dead Space creators' new IP, but it really did. They didn't just update the graphics and put a new coat of paint on the game. They did so much more to improve the Dead Space experience. The game is nearly a 10 out of 10 in my book. I will do my best to refrain from talking about spoilers when discussing this game. However, I do have one big problem with the game, which I'll get into later. But first, I want to highlight some of the changes they made that improved the game tenfold. Let's take a look at how the remake improved on its own source material. The Dead Space remake has made some beautiful quality of life changes. As well, they've added in extra content, more story elements that help the world building, as well as things that just make the world feel more grounded and real. Let's start with the biggest change, the voice of Dead Space. This time, you're not a mute who is completely non-reactive to the batshit crazy things that are happening around you. It was a bit weird in the original when Isaac Clarke, yeah that's right, that's you, would be stone-faced and silent in the face of cosmic horror. Not only does Isaac talk, but he also pushes the plot forward.
Let her go, Daniels.
Let who go? Can't you see how delusional you are?
We've got to go. The payload from the planet Crack is about to fall.
I gave you a chance to come around, Isaac. But if you still won't see it, I'll help you. One last time.
Never before did you feel like Isaac was a true engineer. He was just some silent Joe Schmo who got told what to do. Here, Isaac is the engineer who comes up with the ideas and solutions. He's taking an active role in the plot rather than a reactive one.
No, keep that rifle close. What is that?
The one that attacked me. I managed to trap him in here.
I understand the appeal of a silent protagonist, but I don't think it works for characters that the player doesn't really create themselves. Giving Isaac a voice makes him feel much more of an appealing character. It gives him more of a chance to show off that he's truly an engineer. A little nice touch that they added was you can hear his heartbeat go up and down whenever he thinks he's in danger. Surely the rise of his heartbeat will raise yours. Another small change that they've made is that we get to see Isaac's beautiful face a lot more this time around. I mean, just look at our boy. Clean shaven, looking good. His face is different this time around because they actually are using the real voice actor's face, Gunnar Wright's face. And that's the last time I accidentally say the wrong voice actor. Updating Isaac to this extent adds so much more to the game. This not only makes him more of an actual character, but I think it adds to the horror. Those people who are out there saying that the original graphics aren't that different from this new one, what drugs are you on? Seriously, the two aren't even comparable. Go back and play the original 2008 Dead Space, then give this one a try. The updated graphics are just beautiful, from facial animations, the monsters, the environments, and the Ishimura herself. This game is gorgeous. Not only that, but they added so much to the environment to give the ship a bit more world building, such as extra things to look at, like all the scribblings on the walls from the crew members who occupied the ship. They really nailed the atmosphere here. Not only that, but the visuals are enhanced, but so is the audio. The amount of times I've heard necromorphs in the walls next to me, it was always terrifying. I hated and loved minding my own business and clearly hearing them in the vents above and beside me. And then nothing would happen for a few minutes until they finally popped out at you. It's as if they followed you throughout the entire level. The game's 3D audio is incredibly accurate, so if you hear something, do turn around immediately. This might be a change that not many will notice. It's just as important to the rest. One thing about this game is that you're always with Isaac. There are no loading screens. This game is one continuous long cut. Never do we deviate from Isaac. We're always right over his shoulder until the end of the game. This makes the enemies feel like a never-ending presence. Monsters that you never get a reprieve from. Monstrosities that we never get a break from. They're always hunting you, and not even a loading screen will keep you safe. Unless if you die. Then if you die, you have to load back into this nightmare. And the dismemberment this time around. Oh, in the original you had to shoot off the limbs of the enemies to kill them. That is one of the defining features of this franchise. Cut off their limbs. This time around it feels much better because slowly you can whittle down their flesh and see it fly off of them as you cut and tear into them. It's a nice little detail that we get to see the flesh and bone fall off these monsters. It makes it much more satisfying to put these necromorphs down. Let's talk about the guns. Ah yes, the beautiful engineering equipment that you get to use to turn these enemies into Swiss cheese. The guns in this game feel the best they've ever been. Classic favorite returns, and they return in better ways than before. Instead of just having to buy new weapons through the shop, you find them naturally throughout the game, which is much more fun than buying them. It was always so exciting to come across new equipment that could destroy my enemies. Not only do the weapons feel good, but you can upgrade them much more this time around. The weapon upgrade tree has been expanded, so you'll have more features to look forward to and to choose from, some of which have a few new firing modes as well. My personal favorite is always going to be that saw gun, because it just tears them apart, and make sure you keep some distance from them too. Dead Space took a page out of Resident Evil's book by adding some puzzles. The remake added puzzles in the game, and these puzzles are welcome changes as they replace more tedious parts of the old game. These puzzles make sense in how they're implemented on the Ishimura. One puzzle includes replacing this god-awful turret section in the game, and this section was developed by Satan himself, all the way down in hell, just to destroy the pace of the game and ruin the player's enjoyment. Thank God we don't have to deal with that anymore. Some of the other puzzles include delegating your power to sacrifice lights, or unlocking a door, or having to choose between which areas you want to explore by rerouting power. There's a few more surprises that I'd rather not spoil. And now, believe it or not, we have side quests in a Dead Space game. This time around, we are greeted with the ability to backtrack to areas we've explored, and we're even given a few side quests in this game. These quests expand on the lore of what happened on the Ishimura, and actually fit into the overarching plot, giving context to a few details which give more of a sense of what happened, and which bad actors aboard the Ishimura may have had a part in what happened into its downfall. I think they're worth doing if you don't mind backtracking through old areas, as I appreciated the cool context that they added, as well as some cool rewards they provided. One side quest really gives you more of an idea about the relationship between Nicole and Isaac. You get to see what Nicole might have gone through with her time on the Ishimura. And I've got a side quest for you too. Why not giving this video a like and consider subscribing? You'll get some good XP if you do. Wink, wink. The story. I'm going to keep this part short as I don't want to spoil anything for any new or returning players. All you need to know is that the story gives a lot more context to what happened on the Ishimura and why it happened. I for one appreciated the context, as it made the situation make more sense. That's all I'll say on the story. What's your favorite part of the remake? If you got a chance to play it, please let me know down in the comments below. Those are the changes that the developers made from the original, all of which improved the game significantly, bringing this 2008 classic to 2023. It sounds like I love the game. However, there is one problem that this game's existence presents. Please bear with me. I love this remake. It's probably one of my favorite remakes I've played in recent times. So what possibly could my problem be? Are you tired of playing remakes of games you've already played? Yes, they look polished and they're very pretty, but when it comes down to it, it's the same game. Unlike Resident Evil, who makes remakes alongside with new releases, this is one that's still the same game from 2008, just greatly improved, which I greatly appreciate. But I have a feeling we're going to be getting a Dead Space 2 remake, and probably a Dead Space 3 remake within the next 6 years, which, believe it or not, EA is already talking about making a Dead Space 2 remake. Which is great, but there's probably an alternate universe where we didn't get this Dead Space remake, where instead, we got Dead Space 4. Do you know what Dead Space 4 was supposed to look like? Allow me to paint a picture for you, according to speculated rumors by the creators before EA canned their studio, and that happened right after Dead Space 3. Yes, Dead Space 3 was that bad. Dead Space 4 was rumored to be kind of open space. Open space meaning that you'd have to fly in open space from ship to ship scavenging supplies to keep your little ship running. Imagine multiple Ishimuras floating across a planet, and you had to physically do spacewalks to fly to each spaceship, gathering supplies, finding survivors of a planet-wide infection. They wanted to look for a way to make Dead Space less linear. Each ship you investigate could have had their own biome and different type of necromorph infection. I don't know about you, but a part of me wishes that we got this game this year instead of the Dead Space remake. However, that's my only problem with getting a Dead Space remake in 2023. I just feel that we're missing some potential. Overall, this remake is finely crafted, and if you've never played Dead Space before, this is the way to do it. I had so much fun playing this game and re-exploring the Ishimura with a few new surprises. It's one hell of a remake. It just made me wish I had my hands on Dead Space 4. But you never know, perhaps EA might listen to my prayers and drop it in my lap one day. Until that day, I will be playing Rocket League for now. You gamers have a great rest of your week, and I wish you luck on exploring the Ishimura.